Hi everybody, here's what's going to happen. Now for everybody who will see this video on the 23rd of September, I'm going to tell you what you need to do. There's a warm-up activity in Google Classroom. It's a vocabulary review. That is the first activity you will complete. The second activity is a vocabulary quiz activity. You will complete a Google form. You should be able to complete during class. Third, there will be notes in this video will be your guide or narration. And then fourth is a math space practice. If you have time, okay, I will post a video. I have posted 8 videos of an activity very close to what you need to do. I'm going to post an additional review activity video regarding the math space practice, as it is a little tricky. Hopefully, the hints will help you as you complete this activity. The next class, actually 2 things definitely need to be done. The week 1 homework, that was a Google Slide activity. That needs to be done by next Friday. Or, yeah, actually this upcoming Friday. Segment, additional angle addition postulate problems. That was from last Friday. It was 4 or 5 problems along with vocabulary matching activity. That needs to be done. Now, do note, problem number 3, I'm going to tell everybody from the homework that was assigned on the 18th, you don't have to worry about doing, because I am no longer going to ask for it, because it turns out there was a mistake on it. So no one's going to be able to take care of that problem. And then there's also Unit 1 Quiz 1, Review on Math Space, but now it's going to be postponed until the 30th. And you will have a quiz on the 30th of basically everything we've been doing. That we've been doing the past week and a half. The only exception might be midpoint and formula. Midpoint formula and distance formula, which we'll talk about that down the road. We might deal with it on Friday. If not, we'll start that probably the following week after your quiz. Now, first thing we're going to talk about, types of angles in a diagram. Well, highlighted in yellow, 6 and 7. 6 and 7, both are adjacent. They share a side or a ray. Both supplementary because the sum of 6 plus 7 is 180 degrees. And since they're both adjacent and supplementary, 6 and 7 form a linear pair. 9 and 7 are directly across. That means they're vertical angles. Since they're vertical angles, they're automatically congruent. Okay, for 19. So for 19, well, not 19, I'm sorry. This diagram, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about angles whose sum is 90, 180, or they're adjacent, vertical, or linear pair. Now, for the first part, we have complementary. That means sum is 90. So a couple examples would be if we have EFA and BFC. That's one example of complementary angles. We could also say CFD and BFC. That's another pair of complementary angles. Notice CFD, as we start at C, go to F and D, B, F, and C. Remember, middle letters are turning point. Now, we talk about supplementary. Sum is 180. So for instance, we look at EFD, EFA, 180. 62 plus 118, 180. You can also say EFB and BFC. EFC is 28, EFB 152. As I know this line might confuse some of you, but it's actually this angle BFA or EFB. You also have CFD, and this one AFC is the sum of AFB plus BFC. That's AFC. So 90, 28, that's 118. 118 plus 62, 180. And then the last one, AFB and BFD, 90 and 90, 180. Adjacent angles, so it's two angles that share a right or share a side. So EFA, EFD, they share this side right here. That's one example. CFD, BFC, that's another one. Last but not least, AFB, BFC. That's another example. Technically, you could have even went AFB, BFD. That could work too, because they technically both share. These are just some examples, but that is also a pair. Vertical angles directly across from each other. So for instance, CFD, so if they're directly across, they're congruent. EFA. That's one example. AFE or EFA, CFD are both 62 degrees. Then EFD, and this one be careful, AFC. AFC, that total is 118. And then EFD is also 118. So that's another example, vertical angles. Now, linear pairs, basically, in this case, it's almost the same, if not the same. This is actually the same as supplementary angles, because they share a side, form a straight angle. In this case, it's going to be the same exact thing as number 2. Okay. Now we're going to go over some more angle problems. So for instance, we're going to continue notes. Whoopsie. So this first example, we're saying if ABD, which is this big angle here, equals 79, and it's the sum of the smaller angles, ABC, and ABC, or CBA. Now, ABC is 8x minus 3, and 5x plus 4 is DBC, or CBD, doesn't matter. You need to combine like terms. So for instance, 8x, 5x, 13x, negative 3, positive 4, positive 1. And you see, check 1 on both sides, divide by 13, there's your result. And then here, this result of 6, replace, we substitute in for x, and for both ABC and DBC. As a result, follow order of operations, ABC is 45, DBC 34. Now for number 4. So what is a measure of EBA? Oops. Well, or ABD. Well, in this case, we're going to focus on ABD because we're looking for ABC, CBD. Now, ABC plus CBD gives us the overall for ABD. So ABD, which is just like EBA, they're both 90 degrees. And then ABD is ABC, which is 2x, plus CBD, which is 3x minus 10. So just like before, combine like terms, you get 2x, 3x, gives us the 5x, bring down to minus 10. Now you solve for x, add 10 to both sides, 100 equals 5x. And then your 5x, divide both sides by 5. And 100 divided by 5 gives us 20. So 20 equals x. And similar to the other problem, substitute for your x for both 2x. And substitute x, 3x minus 10. And then you get your result. 2 times 20 is 40. So that's ABC. And CBD is 3 times 20 minus 10. 60 minus 10, which is 50. Okay. Now for the next set of notes, what we're going to do is the following. We're only going to solve for x. Not learning so much about y. Because, well, I mean, you could try it for number 1. You might be able to try it for number 2, but I'm only going to have you guys solve for x, so don't even worry about no y. Now, if we notice, the first problem, the key is getting your relationships. That's the key. So in this case, you have 3x plus 20 equals 5x minus 50. That's because these two angles, they're vertical angles, set them equal to each other. So here, set 3x plus 20 equal to 5x minus 50. You're going to solve for x. So step 1, subtract 3x both sides. 20 equals 2x minus 50. Try to keep your terms same line, column going down. Next part, add 50 to both sides because the goal is to get x by itself. That's the goal. So you do that. Of course, these 50s go away. Positive, negative 50 by. And you're left with 20 plus 50, 70. 70 equals 2x. We have to divide by 2. Both sides divide by 2. 70 divided by 2, 35. 35 equals x. And now you evaluate, substitute. X goes 3 times 35, which is 105. And then 105 plus 20 is 125. Similarly, 5 times x minus 50, 5 times 35 is 175. And 175 minus 50, 125. Now, number 2, since the two angles are supplementary, sum of this guy plus the sum of this guy equals 180. And just like before, on like terms, on like terms, 10 and 5, 4x, 3x, 7x. And then 7x plus 5 equals 180. Subtract 5 on both sides. You have 7x equals 175. Divide both sides by 7. And then 7's cancel. So you're left with x equals 175 divided by 7, 25. And just like before, plug the 25 into both x. So 4 times 25 is 100. plus 10, 110. 3 times 25, think about quarters. 75, and then 75 minus 5, 70. So that will be the result for these two angles, 110, 70. And I forgot to mention earlier, 125, 125. Now, once you know one angle, you're going to get the other one. So this is 125. But the whole thing from here to here is 180. And you can subtract 180 minus 125. And that will work in either case. And you would do the same thing up here, 180 minus 125, if you needed that angle. And similarly, here, this guy would also be 70. This guy would also be 110. So remember, vertical angles are congruent. So we're in all this from here to here is 180 degrees. So 180 minus 110, 70. Or 180 minus 70 is 110. Okay, 23. AB complements add up to 90. So you have measure of angle A plus measure of angle B is 90. They give that to you right here. So that comes from Frederick's line. Then they say measure of angle A, 5x plus 8. Angle B, x plus 4. So here, combine like terms. 5 and x, 5x, 1x, 6x. 8 and 4, 12. Solve for x. 90 minus 12, 78. And down to 6x. 5 both sides with 6. X is 13. So then you plug in 13 into both. X. It's the measure of angle A. 5 times 13. 65 plus 8, 73. And then measure of angle B. 13 plus 4, 17. For this one, A and B supplements. That must mean grand total 180. Measure of angle A, 12x plus 1. Measure of angle B, x plus 10. Combine your terms. 12 and x and another x, 13x. 1 and 10, 11. Solve for x. Subtract 11 on both sides. 13x equals 169. Divide both sides by 13. And again, x is 13. So when you plug it in, so you solve for A. 12 times 13 is 156. And then plus 1, 157. And then here, 13 plus 10, 23. So you have your measure of angle A, measure of angle B. At 24, or slide 24, I'm sorry. I'm only going to give you this problem on the left. This one on the right, which might be in your notes, don't worry about that one. Now, angle bisector, that means QS, this is your angle bisector. That means that angle measure from PQS, highlighted in blue, is the same as SQR. Now they're saying SQR is 22. So if SQR is 22 and SQR equals PQS, that means PQS must also be 22. So right away, you got your first answer. And since this guy's 22, PQR is going to be 22 plus 22, or 22 times 2, is 44. So 44 is the overall measurement from here all the way over here. So PQS, and really, you do not really have to do any math for that one. This one you really didn't have to do math either, because it would have been the same one, but we only do it one time. The key thing is angle bisector. If you have an angle bisector, that means the two angles are equal to each other. And then you just have to look at, what am I finding? Am I finding just the other angle, or am I finding the whole thing? Again, know your relationships. Because PQR is the sum of PQS plus SQR. Okay, last one. Again, angle bisector means this BD splits this big angle ABC into ABD, DBC. Now, since it's a bisector, ABD, DBC are the same. So that means you said x plus 15 equal to 4x minus 45. Again, solve. So variables on one side, non-variables on the other. So we decided, rather than subtracting 45, we're going to add 45 to both sides. So you have x plus 60 equals 4x. Then you're going to subtract x on both sides. Let's move the smaller x. So then in the end, x is canceled. 4x minus x, 3x. 60 comes on down for the ride. So 60 equals 3x. Divide both sides by 3. 20 equals x. So now you have your value of x, which is 20. So that's the first step. Now you're going to kind of work counterclockwise. Once you get x equals 20, then you got to plug it into the expression 4x minus 45 to get the measure of DBC. So then what will happen is, substitute 20 for x, you get 4 times 20, 80, and then 80 minus 45 is 35. So DBC is going to be 35. Now, if you know that DBC is 35, you really don't have to do ABD, but you can check. Again, just like before, x is 20, substitute. So you're going to substitute to 20 for x. 20 plus 15, 35, which has to work because since these two angles have to be the same. Then we notice ABD, we have it's 35. DBC is also 35. So we can get ABC, which is 35 and 35, grand total 70. So the name of the game with these angle problems is knowing your relationships. Whether or not here, angle bisector, that means your two smaller angles set them equal to each other. Same thing here, angle bisector, that means these two smaller angles equal to each other. Complementary, set your two angle measures to 90. Supplementary, two angle measures, add them to 180. Vertical angles, measurements are the same. Are they going across from left to right, up and down? Similarly, linear pair, supplementary angles, sum of the first angle and the second angle must equal 180. So 110 plus 70, 180. And then here, similarly, since they don't tell you, but this turns out that's a right angle. So of your two angles, set them equal to 90. And then this case also might help highlight. So they tell you overall total 79. You add up your first angle measure with the second angle measure. Add those up, set it equal to 79. Solve for the variable. And here, again, they tell us what's our relationship. We went over the relationships. Complementary, two angles, sum is 90. Supplementary, two angles, sum is 180. Adjacent, they share a side. Vertical, directly across. That's key. Linear pair, share a side, and they form a straight angle. And then last part, again, look at what share sides, look at what shares going across or next to each other. Oops, sorry about that. So then, again, this is what you should complete. I mean, you should definitely at least go through 1, 2, 3. You could start 4. We'll probably talk about 4 a little more on Thursday or Friday, probably Friday for you guys. And then we'll continue practicing and preparing for a quiz next week. Okay. As always, email me if you have any questions. And I hope today goes well. Thank you.